Welcome to MalcolmPresents.com and our exciting show with Phil Margo, The Lion Roars.
Hi there, Phil
Hi
Margo,
there.
The Lion Roars.
Hey Phil, I see the token both sides now.
Yeah, this is an album cover that was in the late 60s, early 70s for Buddha. And if you see, the fourth title is Don't Worry Baby.
Yeah.
That was a Beach Boys song. And wait 1 second. And we really wanted to record it. We loved it. It was on the Beach Boys album.
Yeah.
But it was a car song.
What song?
It was a car song. It was about racing a car.
Oh, yeah.
He was telling her, don't worry, everything's going to be all right in the race. But we didn't want to do it as a car song. So I changed the middle lyric to a love lyric rather than talking about driving a car. And Roger Christian, of course, we called Roger Christian, who wrote it, the original, and we asked him if it would be all right to change the lyric to do that. You did that back then. And he said yes. And then he called back and said, and I sent him a lyric, and he said, we'll include you in the song, in that version. I said, you don't have to do that. I just need, he said, no, you wrote the lyric, it works, it's nice, and we'll give you a little piece of the song. So I said, okay, fine. Thank you. I appreciate it. I didn't do it for that reason. I did it because we wanted to record the song.
Right.
We wanted the song to have meaning as a love story rather than a car story. Well, a few years later, B.J. Thomas, who passed away last week from lung cancer, and I never met him, but he recorded our version of Don't Worry Baby. Okay? And
yeah.
It was a top 5 record. So I'm telling the folks out there in the audience that if you listen to the Beach Boys version, or just look up those lyrics on the computer, and then you look up B.J. Thomas's version, you'll see that the middle lyric was different. Each morning I awake and find the sunlight softly shining through her hair, talking about the girl instead of the car. And you'll see that it's a different lyric than the original lyric, and that it was appreciated by the Beach Boys, and they included us. And every once in a while we get a check.
Oh, that's nice.
So it just shows how some things, and nobody knows that. No one knows that we wrote that. That I wrote that lyric. No one knows that.
Now they know.
Because it has it says they don't look at it, but I think it says the credit is the tokens.
Yeah.
On that version. Anyway, it's just an interesting fact that's topical now.
Yeah.
Because of the passing of B.J. Thomas.
Well, it's fun.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's funny. You never met him, right, B.J.?
No, I don't think so. I don't think we ever worked together or met.
Well, I met him.
Oh, wasn't that interesting?
He was my cousin Alan, who's a drummer.
Oh, okay.
Was a drummer on his. Well, Alan. They were friends.
It just shows you how the industry, how many things happened to me and for me that I forgot about. I mean, I wouldn't have remembered to talk about this if this sadness didn't happen.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, I just thought I'd point that out as part of my life.
Yeah. Well, I met Alan at my cousin Susan and Alan's wedding. The two people I remember that were there were B.J. Thomas and Mary Travers.
Oh, okay.
And then I remember. Well, I don't think the other two were there. I don't know.
I met all of them at Gertie's Folk City when we had them and Bob Dylan interested in this is before they had deals. Interested in we were working at Capitol, producing at Capitol, and we wanted to sign them at Capitol. For Capitol Records.
Yeah.
The Capitol didn't want them. and we couldn't go anywhere else because we were exclusive to Capitol at the time. But I mean, we went to see them and we loved them. They were wonderful, all of them.
Well, I never saw that. I saw Bob Dylan there, and Bob Dylan was sing totally. I don't know. Does he sing off key or I mean with?
No, he just was very, he had a very strange voice, and he he had these odd songs that he wrote, that were very odd at the time, and about a ferry boat. I mean, he did, I don't remember all of it, but we recognized how he was raw talent, and he had something to offer, and subsequently he got a Nobel Prize.
Yeah.
For his work, so we weren't wrong.
Yeah, well, he fit the time, with his
Well,
protest songs, peace songs.
but they weren't protest songs; they were truth songs. They told what was going to happen. Where have all the flowers gone? It was
Yeah.
all of the same crap. Anyway, this is not for that. But the songs that he wrote were poignant, were real.
Yeah.
And when he said, "Gone to soldiers, every one." When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? They haven't learned. There's wars, there's people killing each other. It's like, anyway, so that time was an interesting time. And we try to get involved in it, and Capitol wouldn't let us.
Yeah.
Well, they also subsequently turned down "He's So Fine," which was that they passed on because one of the A&R people didn't like the song. How do you not like "He's So Fine"? And one of them didn't like the lead singer. How do you not like Judy Gray? Judy Craig. I mean, it was just, things happened in my life that made me scratch my head daily, and now they still happen.
They still do.
So where were we on that tale? I don't know where we left off.
I think we were talking about, I think when you diverted a little from music and became a writer or an agent.
Oh, that was
if we go
well, what happened was this. We were at a point where we were so successful. We had 5 records on the charts at once, 2 in the top 10. We were just, everything we did made the charts. Every record we made got on the charts. Sometimes on the wrong side of 50, but still they were on the charts. And we were harpooned by our partner, and which I think I mentioned.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of out in the cold because nobody believed we could do anything. Don Kirshner, we were friends with Don for a long time. He was kind enough to put one of our songs on More of the Monkees album, Laugh. It was called Laugh. And it resulted in us making $50,000-$60,000, because that album sold 5 million copies.
Not bad.
Not at all. So he gave us, we made a deal, Jay and I and Mitch made a deal with Donnie, a 2-year deal. And we were going to produce and all of that. But the problem was that everything had to go through Donnie. And it was impossible to get things done. We couldn't operate the way we always operated, which was we made records when we thought we should make records. And we couldn't do it this time. So I was very disappointed. And, and I had a friend, I met Bob Goodman, who worked at William Morris. And I asked him about television. I had a mild interest in writing, because Kirshner was producing television shows. They had just done a movie for television. And so I started getting interested in that. And this friend, Bob Goodman, said that they were doing a show called Ball 4 from the book, Jim Bouton's book, Ball 4.
Right, yeah, I read the book. It was a good book.
Right. Well, they were doing a television show for CBS, Ball 4. And they were looking for stories, So I remembered, because I watched a lot of television and a lot of movies when I was a kid. that there was a movie in 1951 called The Kid from Left Field. And that movie was about a young boy whose father used to be a major leaguer, but was drummed out for some unknown reason at the time. You know, they didn't say what it was.
Dan Daly.
Yeah, Dan Daly, right. And so he would the kid would tell him what to tell the players, and the team started winning. And so it was like The Kid from Left Field, and he becomes the manager, you know, through Dan Daly. So I thought, hey, what if you have what's it? My God, my brain is the pitcher in the story is having a problem, and he's getting knocked out of the games, you know. And there's a girl sitting near the bullpen, and she starts telling him what he's doing wrong, you know. And he starts to and he starts pitching again, right? You know, you're dropping your arm, you're doing this, you're doing that, whatever. And so it was called Coaching Pigtails, and they wouldn't let me write it because Jim Bouton was the star of the show. You remember?
Yeah, Jim Bouton was the pitcher who wrote the book.
Anyway, so they liked the story, but they said you can't write it because you never wrote a script before. I said, so what does that have to do with it? I never pitched a story before either, but they wouldn't let me write it. So I got a story credit, but it was a real story credit, and I got paid for the story, and it got made. So now the Writers Guild wants me to join. You know, now people would die to get into the Writers Guild.
Definitely, yeah.
So that opened up the door to what happened to me next.
You're hitting something. You're getting a lot of static. I don't know if you're hitting the mic.
If I what?
If you're hitting the mic, we were getting some static.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. Maybe I'm hitting the table.
Yeah. Now
Anyway,
we're fine. Yeah. Okay.
So that was like a hint to me, and the deal at Kirshner ended, and we did a Neil Levinson, who wrote Denise, came to us with the idea to do a skateboarding album, right?
Yeah.
And so I made a few phone calls, and I got some money to do a skateboarding album. And we did it. We put a group together called Sneakers and Lace, and we did a skateboarding album. Three boys and a girl. And we did a skateboarding album, and it was released. And Syndicast, which was a syndication company, thought it would be interesting to do a skateboarding show based on the songs in the album, you know.
Yeah.
But it was about, you know, skateboarding USA, things like that. So they said, find a host. So my wife is on the phone with her friend, Lynn Gabriel, who lived, you know, we were living in Suffern at the time. And her daughter, Julie, heard the discussion and said, get Christy McNichol. Because she was an athlete. She did all the athletic shows, and she was on Family.
And she's cute.
So we called her, and she was interested in hosting the show. And she came into New York to talk to us and meet us and stuff. And on a whim, I had a friend at RCA that was running, you know, that was the president of the label, because I was very connected at the time. And I brought Christy up to RCA, to the offices in Manhattan on 20, I don't know where it was, 20, it wasn't 24th Street, they had moved. Anyway, I brought Christy up, and of course all the guys went nuts, you know, because there was a star in their midst. I mean, you know, everyone knew her. Yeah. And I walked out with an album deal for her, not even knowing if she could sing. Mm. And that album deal led to the kids hosting the fall preview for the cartoon shows, the Saturday morning cartoon shows on ABC. You know, all the networks had cartoon shows on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Right. So, and they were shooting it in Provo, Utah, at the Osmond Studios. So, and they fly me and Mitch in because we wrote the album, and we wrote the album Chrissy and Jimmy did, and so there we are in Utah, Salt Lake City airport, skateboarding down the corridors of the airport, with red noses on, and nobody even looked, Anyway, when we get to the studio, we find they're also taping a Donna Fargo episode for the Donna Fargo show. And one of the guests was Robert Guillaume.
Mm-hmm.
Just so how stuff happens, And I got to talking with Robert. We got friendly. And he was telling me how he somehow thought that we represented Christy and Jimmy, that I was involved in their representation, which I wasn't. And he said, well, I'm looking for somebody. He was on soap, and he was getting kind of popular, and he was looking for someone because he just had split up with the people he was with. And he was looking for someone to jump in and kind of run the show. So he's looking for an associate, he said. So I said, well, I never did it before. He said, what about them? I said, we just did an album with them. I don't represent her. I said, I did The Lion Sleeps Tonight. I did all that stuff. I've been in and around, but he says, no, I see something in you. And so that's how I wound up getting involved. That's when we moved to California in 1978. And Bob Guillaume set up an office, and we started working together. And the first thing that happened was, strangely enough, I had a friend who worked at NBC, and they were looking for a movie of the week for Gary Coleman, right?
Yeah.
So I said, I'll think about it. And then then something snapped in my brain. I called up my friend at NBC. I said, how's about Gary Coleman plays a manager in a Major League Baseball club? And I said, there's a movie called The Kid from Left Field. It was made in 1951. And she said, oh, that's interesting. Then I didn't hear from her, right? Then I got a call from her. Well, we just got a go ahead on Kid from Left Field. I said, what? I said, what? I said, okay, so what does that mean? She said, well, maybe Robert can read for the part of the father. I said, okay, that seems reasonable. So Robert came up to our office, and I said, you have a reading down over in Culver City for a movie of the week. Now, at this point, Robert's pilot was made, and it looked very much like Benson would be picked up as a series, apart from soap.
Right.
So I send him down to Culver City, and he comes back. He said, they gave me the job. I didn't even have to read. How did you do that? And I explained how I did it. And he went, uh-huh. And that sealed my fate with him. I mean, he believed that his trust in me was accurate, And then my first meeting with the people, I'm going back a bit, with the people with Thomas Harris, who produced Soap. The first meeting I had with them as Bob's associate was to tell them that they should do a pilot with him, with Benson. They should spin him off. And I'll never forget this. Paul Witt and Tony Thomas looked at each other like, should we tell him? And then he said yes. And they brought out this script, Benson pilot, which was already written by Susan, who wrote Soap, and I brought it back to Robert, and I said, this is going to be a pilot. So that's the first news I gave him.
Yeah.
So in a month, I got him a movie, and I said, "You're going to do a pilot," you know, which was, you know, and I said, and it was, and that's so that kind of set us up, you know, set me up to once Benson was picked up, got to the network.
Yeah, again, we're getting that scratching.
Oh, okay, sorry. I know. I don't. You know. I got to meet all the network people, and you know, you sit in a room with somebody, and you say, you know, they're a vice president, and you say, I have an idea, and the vice president says, okay, I'll send you down to one of the development people. Well, when a vice president sends you to the development people, you already have a gold star on your name, you know?
Developing people listen to you.
Right. So that's how that started. I had this idea with my friend Don Siegel. He saw this article about a girl who opened a business in Seattle, Washington, as a part-time wife.
A part-time wife?
Yes. She saw that all these bachelors, like the Seattle guys on the Seattle Supersonics, I mean, major sports, that went home on a Friday night and had Chinese food in cartons, you know, I mean, that had no interior life. And she would be everything but the bedroom. It's true. Her name was Terrell Gabry. And she everything but the bedroom. She would make sure the house is clean, is neat, there's furniture in it, and this, that, and that. And so
and,
we got
and
this.
Food.
What?
And food.
Yeah, everything. No, everything but the bedroom. And they had two writers write the script, and it didn't work. And they were going to kill the project. And then we asked if we could take a shot at the story, since we came in with the original idea. Pay us minimum. If you go to script, pay us the regular price. And then if the script gets made, pay us the regular price for the script. And sure enough, we wrote the story. They liked it. We wrote the script. We got Pam Dorber and Robert Klein and Lorraine Newman and we got a lot of great people. It's called This Wife for Hire.
That's a good cast.
And yes, and it was a terrific little movie too. And you know, it was a Hallmark movie in a way. You know, it was very light and sweet, you know, except that we did two things that were amazing for the time that they let us get away with. He gets jealous of her business, and she's working all the time now, and she has all these men that are her clients. I mean, it becomes she has to open up an office. You know, she was working out of the house, but now she has an office. She has other wives. You know, she has a crew of wives that handle other men, and so. And she gets involved with a basketball player on the Clippers, and we actually shot it at the Clippers. We shot it where they played, and her and her husband kind of split up because he can't take it anymore. You know, he and she sleeps with the basketball player, which was unheard of then. That she actually sleeps with him, and of course they were separated.
Were they interracial?
No.
Because that's the thing that was a no-no back. I don't know what year it was, but that was a no-no recently.
A wife sleeping with a guy on a network movie, on a lighthearted network movie.
Yeah.
You know, this was like you don't even see, I mean, on the Hallmark movies, nobody sleeps with anybody. You know, you never see them in bed together unless they're married.
Yeah. And then you don't see them in bed.
Yeah.
Not on Hallmark.
But this was in 1988. You know, and actually, no, maybe no, it was before 1988. It was before that. 88 was when we did Goddess of Love. So we took some jumps with that movie. I mean, they let us get away. I'll never forget that the executive called me up one day while we were shooting at the Forum, wherever they shot, wherever the Clippers played. And we were in the middle of doing this big basketball scene. And she calls me up and tells me that the stuff we shot the day before is not going to work. we have to shoot it again. I said, why? She said, because you see, there's no continuity there. So I said, did they cut it together? She said, no, it hasn't been cut. I just saw the part. I said, well, shouldn't you wait till I cut it? So I go down to the cutting room and I cut it. And it was fine. And I send it back to her. And she calls me up and she says, you want to do another movie for us? You know.
I have a new nickname for you. You should be the can-do kid.
Well,
if you like an idea, you do it.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's just, and from that, of course, we did Goddess of Love. I wrote some Different Strokes. I wrote some Who's the Bosses. You know, I started writing more, and still managing Robert. You know, of course, there was a point where I had an office at Universal and at Gower. My office at Universal was at Alan Alda was doing Four Seasons as a series.
Yeah.
Okay. And they put me on staff, you know, to work on the scripts because they needed to get the scripts in. And out of the 13 episodes, I think they did 13. I wrote 2.
Wow.
I wrote the last one, which where it wraps it up. So they could have cut all of those 13 episodes into a movie.
Yeah, I saw the movie with Ellen Burstyn.
Yes.
But I didn't see the TV series.
I don't know how it wasn't that successful, but it was good. It was really good. Anyway, so I got involved with all kinds of stuff that I never could have imagined. I mean, writing with and the greatest experiences was working with Alan Alda. I mean, just learning from him. He was just brilliant.
Well, he's still working now.
Well, he's been ill, I think.
Oh.
But
who I used to like, one of my favorite movies is with his father, Robert Alda.
Oh yeah.
And it was about George Gershwin.
Oh yeah, right, sure. Well, he wasn't in the movie with him.
No, Alan wasn't, but Robert was. Robert played.
Yeah, sure.
He played George Gershwin.
Oh, I mean, during that time, I got to meet so many interesting people. I mean, I went to the White House twice. I met. You know, I can't even think of the people I met until it goes into my brain. You know, but like I went to the Democratic convention and sat on the stage. You know, I did all kinds of stuff. And then I remember Danny Thomas did an episode of Benson. And after the show was over, he came into Robert's dressing room. He had his vodka. He keeps his vodka in a. It's true. And he took his vodka out. He poured us each a glass, and we sat there for 2 or 3 hours.
Danny Thomas. Well, that's Tony's dad, wasn't it? Tony Thomas is Danny Thomas's son.
And then a year later, I had to go to his office to meet with one of the guys that I got friendly with, who's a producer as well. And it was a year later, and that night was my birthday night when we met, right? A year later, I go in, and he comes into the office. He says, "Phil, happy birthday." He remembered my birthday from last year, you know? Stuff like that is, you know, people are remarkable. In the movie about Winston Churchill, I'm just going off on the side. The movie they made recently about Winston Churchill.
Yeah, with Gary Oldman.
Oldman, who won the Academy.
Who won the Academy Award, yeah.
He goes onto the train to meet with the people. Ask the people what they think. So he goes onto the underground, and people come over and introduce themselves to him, and he remembers every one of their names. You know what I mean? One of the guys pick up his cane and bring it over. He goes, "Thank you, Mr. Baker." It's like, and I know that it's true because I know a lot of people who are good at that, and I see them do it. So I'm terrible at it.
That was a great scene. Just an aside from that, you know the famous picture of Churchill, you know, with the scowl on his face?
Yeah.
There was a famous photographer, I think it's Danny Karsh, that took that picture. And how he got that expression is Churchill had a cigar in his hand and he put it in his mouth and he wanted to take a picture like that with a cigar. And Karsh said, no, could you take it out, Mr. Churchill? And he said, no. And just before he snapped the picture, he grabbed the cigar out of his hand.
Oh, really?
So that's how he has that mean look.
Well, I mean, there was a funny part in the movie where he goes V for victory, like this.
Yeah.
And his secretary at the time tells him, they were all laughing because this means up your bum.
Oh.
This is victory.
Victory.
This means up your bum.
Oh.
And I believe that probably happened but he was an amazing man. But anyway, so I during this period of time where I was in television, and I'm just telling you part of it. I mean, it was just Ricardo Montalban. We sat on a plane with Ricardo Montalban. I mean, and he's the most charming man you ever want to meet in your life. He's
the plane boss, the plane.
Honest, yeah, but honestly charming. I mean, it's him. It's not an act because you could see the difference. He's just a charming man. And all the other people I met through Robert at the time, like I see somebody on television, I said I met him so much. It was amazing how many people I got to meet.
Anyway, Phil, hold that thought because we ran out of time.
Well, good, because we didn't talk a lot. We left a lot out. I mean,
well, we're going to put a lot in. We have many more. We have many more weeks to go.
Listen to "Don't Worry, Baby," or look it up online by B.J. Thomas, and by us, we have a version of it too, or by the Beach Boys. Our version and the Tokens version and B.J. Thomas's version uses the new lyrics that I wrote, and then of course the Beach Boys were the original.
Okay.
But those are the things that happen inside the industry that people might not have heard about.
Well, as I say, I think I'm going to nickname you the Can-Do Kid. You see a project that you like, and you don't think that you can't do it. You can do it, even though you've never done it before.
I used to think that way. It's not the same way anymore.
Well, we're gonna get you back.
People aren't. You can't get to anybody. You can't even get the phone numbers of the record companies. You know what I mean? You can't get to see anybody. It's almost impossible. Unless you have an agent or somebody represent you, you can't get to see anyone.
I know. I have a script that I've been trying to shop for the last 3 years, and I never wrote anything before. And no one will see it without an agent. And I can't get an agent because they don't represent someone that hasn't done anything.
No, you can't. Not only that, you and I are beyond the age of doing.
Well, maybe you are. I'm not.
No, not to me. To the people in the industry.
Yeah, people in the industry are above 30. You're ancient.
Right. I mean, but now they're looking for stuff for older folks because there's a large older audience.
Well, what you have is all the baby boomers have turned 60, and that's a huge population. And I am actually you also. We're post baby boomers. We're I think we're called. I call myself war babies.
Well, yeah, we're pre-baby boom.
Yeah, it's war. I call the group war babies.
We were called the baby boomers back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I was a baby boomer because a lot of babies were born during the war.
Yeah. Anyway, kid, you have a good week.
Don't worry, baby.
Don't worry, baby. And if you want to see the show or back shows, it's malcolmpresents.com. Film Margo, The Lion Roars, and he definitely roars.
Happy day.
Speak to you next week.
You will do.
By the way, say hello to your nephew that's going to be visiting you, I think, this week or next week.
My grandson.
No, Elon.
Oh, Elon. Oh, Elon. Okay.
Right, your grandson also.
My grandsons are coming in too.
Yeah. Okay, kid.
Keep smiling.
Have a good weekend. A week.
Yes.